Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let's start with a truth that most people are too afraid to say out loud. One day, a man just stops chasing women. Not because he's bitter, not because he's broken, but because something inside him changes forever. It's not about giving up, it's about waking up. When a man crosses 40, he doesn't see beauty the same way he used to. The smile, the hair, the spark, it's still there. But it doesn't hold him hostage anymore. He's been there, done that, and realized that attraction without peace is just chaos dressed in perfume. What he craves now isn't adrenaline, it's alignment. He no longer wants to impress, he wants to exhale. Before we go deeper, if you find yourself resonating with this, take a second to subscribe and like this video. It helps more men find clarity when they need it most. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Men in their 20s and 30s often chase women to fill an emptiness they don't yet understand. They mistake validation for love and attention for connection. But time teaches. It humbles. It strips away illusions, one heartbreak at a time, until he learns the cost of chasing what was never meant to stay. By 40, a man starts to notice patterns. The kind of women who used to thrill him now drain him. He realizes that drama doesn't excite him, it exhausts him. He no longer wants to fix, save, or prove anything. The energy he once spent chasing love, he now invests in protecting peace. This shift isn't about women losing value, it's about men discovering theirs. He's no longer driven by hormones or the thrill of pursuit. He's driven by something quieter, deeper, his own self-respect. That's when you'll see him stop texting first, stop tolerating emotional games, stop explaining himself to people who were never listening. And here's the irony. When a man stops chasing, that's when women start noticing him more. Because peace is magnetic, confidence without chaos is rare. He radiates an energy that says, I don't need you to complete me. I'm already whole. And that calm presence, it draws in what he used to chase effortlessly. Something powerful happens when a man reaches that stage, when he's finally done chasing. He starts to see through the illusions that once controlled him. He no longer believes in the fantasy of the perfect woman, or the idea that his worth depends on who accepts or rejects him. The chase used to be about proving something. Now it's about preserving something, his energy, his peace, his purpose. You see, in his younger years, love was a mission. He wanted to conquer it, to earn it, to hold it like a trophy. But as he matures, he learns that real love isn't something you chase. It's something that flows naturally between two people who respect each other's peace. That realization changes everything. By 40, he's lived enough, lost enough, and learned enough to know that desire can be deceptive. The woman who excites him instantly might not be the woman who fulfills him deeply. The one who flatters his ego might never nurture his soul. And so, he becomes more selective, not in a superficial way, but in a spiritual one. He starts choosing differently. He now values effort over excitement. He looks for emotional maturity instead of physical perfection. He notices kindness before curves, consistency before charm. He's no longer looking for someone to make him feel alive. He already feels alive. He's looking for someone who can walk beside him without chaos. And here's the truth that shocks many women. When a man stops chasing, it doesn't mean he's cold. It means he's centered. He no longer reacts to every text, every compliment, every flirtation. He responds only to authenticity. He's been through enough to know the difference between attention and intention. This man, he's learned that chasing often leads him in circles. That real connection requires stillness, not speed. That when he stops running, the right woman will finally see him. Not as a prize to be won, but as a man who has found himself. And maybe that's the deepest part of this transformation. He's not turning his back on love. He's turning towards self-respect. He's no longer addicted to the thrill of being chosen. He's devoted to the peace of choosing himself. Because when a man truly understands his worth, chasing becomes unnecessary. The right woman won't need to be pursued endlessly. She'll simply meet him where he is, with the same calm, grounded energy he spent a lifetime searching for. There's a quiet strength that settles into a man's soul after 40. He stops apologizing for his boundaries. He stops negotiating his peace. The same man who once tolerated emotional games, late replies, mixed signals, and endless uncertainty now has zero interest in chaos disguised as connection. He's seen what emotional instability costs, and he refuses to pay that price again. What changed? Experience. Experience taught him that attraction without emotional depth burns fast and fades faster. It taught him that love built on fantasy collapses under truth. He's no longer interested in being the hero in someone else's unfinished story. He's busy writing his own. When he was younger, rejection used to sting. Now it's a filter. Every no simply redirects him toward what aligns with his peace. He doesn't chase, he observes, he doesn't react, he reflects. That's maturity, a form of quiet dominance that women feel, even if they can't explain it. It's not arrogance, it's emotional intelligence sharpened by years of disappointment and self-discovery. And that's why younger women, and even some his own age, find him so magnetic. He doesn't perform, he doesn't pretend, he doesn't need validation because he's already validated himself. He listens more than he speaks. He notices what isn't said. He reads energy better than he reads text messages. That's the wisdom of a man who's felt the weight of real heartbreak and used it as fuel to evolve. He's not chasing women because he's chasing purpose. His focus shifts inward to his health, his goals, his finances, his peace. He realizes that the greatest love story begins with the relationship he has with himself. And ironically, that's what makes him so attractive. He exudes a grounded confidence that no cologne can replicate. He's not trying to be mysterious. He's just genuinely content alone. And that calm confuses people who mistake peace for loneliness. But he's not lonely. He's finally free. And here's the paradox most men don't realize until they stop chasing. The moment he withdraws his need for validation, the world starts validating him naturally. Opportunities open, people respect his time, and women start leaning in. Not because he's playing games, but because he's stopped playing altogether. That's the kind of man who walks into a room quietly and commands attention without saying a word. Because he's not there to prove himself, he's there to be himself, and that changes everything. By the time a man reaches 40, he's walked through enough emotional storms to understand one thing: peace is priceless. He's seen what it feels like to be drained by someone who doesn't understand his effort, to be misunderstood by someone who only loved the version of him that served their ego. And once he's healed from that, he never wants to return. That's why he stops chasing, not because he's jaded, but because he's finally free from the illusions that kept him running in circles. He used to confuse chemistry with compatibility. He thought a spark meant destiny. Now he knows that a spark can just as easily mean danger. The thrill of the chase used to light him up, but now it just feels empty. He's learned that the kind of love that lasts doesn't need to be chased. It needs to be cultivated, slowly, honestly, consistently. He becomes a man of calm power. He's still kind, but he's not naive. He listens carefully, but he no longer explains himself to those who twist his words. He's emotionally available, but selectively so, because he's learned that his energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. This realization doesn't make him colder, it makes him wiser. Women sense that difference immediately. They can feel when a man's energy isn't scattered, when he's not seeking attention, but peace, when he's not chasing, but choosing. That's the rare energy women call maturity. It's not about his age, it's about the clarity behind his eyes, the steadiness in his voice, the absence of need. He no longer texts to prove interest. He no longer over-explains why he pulled away. He simply understands that anyone who truly values him won't need to be convinced to stay. That level of detachment isn't apathy, it's emotional mastery. It's the kind of confidence that only comes from losing yourself once and vowing never to do it again. He knows that peace is the new power, that calm is the new charisma, that silence, when used wisely, can say more than any confession ever could. And when he looks back, he doesn't regret the chase, he's grateful for it, because it taught him what kind of man he never wants to be again. The one who begged for love instead of building it. The one who mistook attention for affection. The one who forgot his own worth while trying to prove it to someone else. That man no longer exists. There's a moment in every man's life when silence becomes his loudest statement. By 40, that moment isn't rare, it's his way of living. He doesn't argue, doesn't chase explanations, doesn't try to convince anyone to see his worth, because finally he's realized that true strength isn't in chasing, it's in choosing not to. He's been through enough relationships to recognize the patterns, the instant connection that fizzles out, the woman who says she wants a good man but isn't ready for emotional depth, the endless cycle of giving more than he receives. Now, he watches those patterns with clarity, not pain. Because he understands you can't build peace with someone who's addicted to chaos. When a man stops chasing women, his energy transforms. It's no longer scattered in search of validation, it's anchored in purpose. He wakes up earlier, works out harder, thinks clearer. He invests in his growth, his passions, his peace. He learns to enjoy solitude, not as isolation, but as refinement. Alone time becomes sacred, where he recharges, refocuses, and rebuilds. And this is where the real shift happens. Women start to feel his absence, not because he's playing games, but because he's finally aligned with himself. His silence speaks volumes. His lack of pursuit makes people wonder what changed. And what changed is everything. He no longer views relationships as a goal. They're a reflection. If she brings peace, he'll stay. If she brings drama, he'll distance himself. Not out of arrogance, but protection. Because after 40, he values his energy the way a warrior values his armor. He knows how hard it was to rebuild it. And when he does connect with a woman, it's intentional. He doesn't need her to fill a void. He wants her to share a vision. He looks for emotional maturity, for peace that matches his peace. He values depth over beauty, understanding over attraction, loyalty over charm. That's when love stops being a battlefield and starts being a partnership. The chase was never the problem, the emptiness behind it was. Now he's filled that space with purpose. That's why he's magnetic without trying, attractive without effort. Because peace is rare, and people always chase what's rare. But this man doesn't chase anymore. He attracts what aligns and lets everything else fall away. At some point, a man over 40 looks in the mirror and realizes he's not who he used to be. And that's not regret, it's evolution. He no longer needs to chase anything because he's finally standing still long enough to see what truly matters. The house, the car, the attention, the thrill, they all fade. What remains is peace, integrity, and self-respect. That's the man he's become. He used to think love meant effort, endless effort, texting first, proving loyalty, showing up even when unappreciated. But now he knows real love doesn't need to be chased or begged for. It meets you where you are, without games, without confusion. He's seen what manipulation looks like dressed as affection, and he's learned to walk away at the first sign of emotional chaos. He's not bitter, he's just aware that he doesn't owe anyone his peace to prove he cares. Aware that being alone isn't loneliness, it's clarity. He's learned to be content in his own company, and that self-acceptance radiates an energy few can match. The man who once feared losing people now understands that anyone who can't meet him in peace was never meant to stay. And maybe that's what true maturity looks like. Understanding that the right woman doesn't need to be chased. She'll walk beside him naturally. She won't compete with his peace. She'll complement it. She won't demand attention. She'll earn trust. She'll recognize that his calm isn't disinterest, it's depth. His silence isn't distance, it's discernment. This man no longer needs validation from the outside world. His power lies in his presence, his calm, his consistency. He's mastered the art of not reacting, of not explaining, of not chasing, and that quiet control, that emotional discipline makes him stand out in a world full of noise. So when people say he's changed, they're right. He's stopped running toward what drains him and started walking toward what aligns with him. That's not detachment, it's wisdom. If you're a man watching this right now, understand, when you stop chasing women, you don't lose love. You attract better love. You don't give up. You level up. Because the man who no longer needs the chase finally becomes the man every woman respects, and the one the right woman will never make run. So keep your peace, protect your energy, and remember, When you stop chasing what's temporary, you finally make space for what's timeless.